So, a couple of days ago, more accurately a week, Crimson Desert came out with the second overview trailer, more detailing combat and progression. However, I was not able to make a video about it at the time, and yesterday, at least at the time of recording, they came out with the third and final overview trailer, which goes over life in the game. So, because I couldn't do the combat one, we're gonna do a 2-for-1, and we'll go over both trailers in this video. We'll start with the combat one. From what they've shown, and they said, it seems you're going to have a lot of options in how to approach combat. You're going to be able to do a more defensive, focusing in blocking and dodging, or a more hyper-aggressive style, fully going in, all crazy, and by the way, they show some insane movement abilities that seem almost hilarious. I mean, look at this. And once again, like I mentioned in my previous video, the closest thing we can look at for reference is Black Desert Online. There is a lot of similarities between both games, and the combat is no exception. Now, at the beginning of the trailer, I thought maybe it's not so similar to Black Desert, but then as it progresses and you start getting fights against more and more enemies, I thought, oh, yeah, there it is. In Black Desert, the goal of the combat is to kill as many enemies as quickly as possible and move between groups of enemies as quickly as possible. In Crimson Desert, seems it's a little less, a little slower in terms of the movement. However, you seem to have a hell of a lot of abilities, of movement abilities. It is crazy. It feels, from what you can see in the video, that it has a lot of focus in the flow of the combat, in combos. So you hit an enemy because you're usually, unless you're fighting a boss one-on-one, you're usually fighting groups of enemies. This is not a game like Souls-like, where you're usually fighting one enemy at the time, and even if you're fighting a group, you're usually focused on one. This is a game where you're going to be fighting a group of enemies most of the time. So you're going to be attacking one enemy, then another one will come from behind, you're going to dodge that, then you're going to continue the combo with the second enemy, and then, plus your AoE abilities and all that. They mention also the weapons that you're going to be using, but I think they only mention a few, not all of them. They said that you will be able to fight with sword and shield, spears, axes, and greatswords. But you can see some of the footage where Clive is fighting with dual swords, for example. So I think it's going to be a few more weapon types than those that they mentioned. Also, it's going to be ranged weapons. You're going to have bows, and you're going to have like rifles, gunpowder rifles. Honestly, it looks really amazing. One thing they also talk progression of the combat. And apparently this is going to be really tied with the exploration, because they mentioned in the previous video that you should find these pieces, these artifacts of the abyss that fall to the ground. And some of them will grant you special abilities and skills, and even higher level abilities. So in order to fully maximize your combat, you're going to need to explore the map and find these new abilities. On that matter, they showed something that I think it's really cool, and I love when games do this. That's not the only way you're going to be able to find new abilities and new skills. You will also be able to find some by observing the ability in play, whatever it's from what they show, like a particular location where you see a sort of hologram doing the ability. So Clive can learn it from watching it, or from enemies using that ability. I think that's actually pretty cool that you can hand down these abilities, find them, or sort of scan the enemy's attacks and in order to use their own skills. That is very cool. Another thing they mention, and this was huge, it seems you're gonna have like some massive bosses across the map. Some of them look like world bosses from Black Desert. Like, there were two that really caught my attention. First, a flying boss fight. That is crazy. I don't know why. I mean, sure, minus the similarities, of course, but I don't know why it reminded me of Shadow of the Colossus when I saw the big bird flying in the sky. And the fact that you apparently need to reach it in order to engage it in the fight. That one seems really cool. That and the big blue lightning dragon that they showed seemed huge. and you will be able to get weapons and abilities from these bosses, and they said that even using those weapons may unlock the boss's abilities. So overall, the combat looks mighty amazing. And I think from everything this game can be, two aspects are the most important: the combat and the exploration. If one of those is not up to par, the whole game may suffer. I don't include the story in this because I think a game like this one can completely be really amazing without really a great story. A great story would be amazing, but it can still be outstanding without it. However, if something like the combat or the exploration, which is something you're going to be doing pretty much the whole game, all the time, if it's not that really good, then the game will suffer quite a bit. But I have hope in the combat. I think it's looking pretty amazing. Oh yeah, I keep remembering while I'm recording. They also showed that you will be able to use mounts in your combat. We've already seen the mech, but they showed a little bit more footage. That looks crazy, like hell of a lot of fun. Also, you're riding a bear and hitting enemies with it. That is, oh my god, it seems you're gonna have quite a few. Well, we have also seen the dragon in previous videos, so it seems you're gonna have a wider range of mounts to command. Okay, that was the combat trailer that released last week. Yesterday, we got the last overview features trailer, and this time it focused on life in Pywel, which essentially means whatever you're going to be able to do in your day-to-day basis. Now, I want to say something before we go into the trailer. With all respects to the combat, the story, and the exploration, which, again, like I mentioned before, those are the core of the game. I mean, you could throw out the story from that, but at least the combat and exploration, if they're not good, the game is really going to feel that. That being said, this, what we're about to discuss, this is what gets me the most excited about. Because a game like this, you know, open world, RPG, those things, the combat, the exploration, can make it an amazing game. But of these little details, the small stuff that really, really gets me excited, what really, to me, can push a game from great to absolutely amazing. For example, you may remember in The Witcher 3, when you run around the world and it starts raining, the NPCs will react to it. So they will start taking cover with their hands, they will try to go indoors, they will be less NPCs outside. And that is something that is completely irrelevant to the overall experience of the game. Okay, it doesn't affect your ability to fight, it doesn't relate to combat or exploration in any way, but it's a little detail that allows the world to feel more alive. Or in Breath of the Wild, the fact that if you wore metal in a thunderstorm, you're gonna attract lightning. Or when you could like set the grass on fire and create an upper current that you could use your glider to lift up in the sky. Those are the little things that I absolutely adore in games like this. They start with the Greymane's camp. Now, this gave me a bit of Red Dead Redemption 2 vibes, you know, where you have your camp and you can improve it by spending money on it and doing stuff for it. And I assume this from the previous videos that they have shown, that your goal, part of your goal of the story, was to rebuild this faction after the beginning of the game. So you're going to be using the camp essentially as your home base. You will be able to send NPCs into missions to gather resources, or something that I saw that was really amazing. He's in the video, they send a group of characters to do, well, they essentially build a statue in a place, which I'm guessing it will give you some bonuses, or with the community, or whatever, with the location or anything. But I thought that's amazing. I always say this. I love a game that allows me to change the environment, that my actions have an impact in the world, whatever it's building houses, or even if the world just changes over time with the advancement of the story. For example, Red Dead Redemption 2 does this amazingly. When you start the game, the towns have buildings that are half built, and as you advance the story and the time progresses, those buildings get finished, you get new locations, gives the world life. So those are little details that I always adore in a game. So you send them in and they build a statue. They show some progress, which I'm assuming that when you go physically to that location, the statue is now there. That is great. I love that. I hope there is a lot of that. You can also send the characters that are part of your group in the camp to disrupt enemies in certain locations. For example, to reduce their strength in a certain area or interrupt their activities so they are weaker when you can go and attack them. I like that. I really, really like that. Then a bit more of the typical things. You will be able to grow, to have a little place to grow vegetables and food. You will be able to cook food to give you bonuses for your travels. Expand and get stores and merchants in your camp so you can trade and sell stuff that you get. It's pretty typical in games that include these features. This is where it gave me a bit of Red Dead Redemption 2 vibes. The fact that you are doing all the activities. It's not just a menu. You go to your little farm and you gather the stuff manually. You have animals to make food, for example, pigs, and you can see how you have to lift the pig, take it to the location so you can send it to another farm. And another aspect where you can see this, later on in the video, they go over towns and cities, and you can see how Cliff is buying stuff from a vendor. You actively go to where he has the fruit on the stands, and you grab it one by one, like in Red Dead Redemption. You simply grab it and you buy it, which again is something that is not necessary, but it just makes it more real, more realistic, makes me believe the world more. If there is something, okay, a bit grandiose, but something that I absolutely love about video games in general is when they allow me to get completely lost in the world, when I forget that I am sitting in my room just playing the game, because it gets into your head. I'm someone that if I like the game, I can have a very easy time getting into the world. Sometimes when I'm recording a video, a gameplay video, I need to keep myself talking. Otherwise, I just stay silent looking at the screen because I'm just absorbing everything. So I like those little details. And then they go over things you can do for these NPCs, which are essentially side quests that apparently they will range from, and we've seen this in previous videos, I lost a sheep, escaped, so you need to go and grab the sheep. Oh, my friend is lost, so you need to go and find him. Or a group of characters got raided by bandits, so you need to help them and go kill the bandits. I'm sure this is going to be very, very typical within the game, which I honestly have no problem with if they're interesting. They also go over like bunch of mini games and stuff that you can do, that you will be running around. Some NPCs will like bump into you and try to rob you. Again, nothing new. We have seen it in previous games, but this is the sums of all part. And then you have you can do fist fights. Then you have a sort of a card game, bunch of mini games. I'm assuming it's going to be in here. Oh, and another thing, they also go over like, how do I call it? Well, there's going to be like a law system. So if you steal, like in Skyrim, the gods are going to come after you. I thought that scene was hilarious because there is just so many gods. Also, apparently if they capture you, they can put you in jail. Don't know how that's going to work. Most likely they throw you in, put a black screen, they take some of your stuff, and that's about it. But it's an interesting system. I'm looking forward to it. Later in the video, they really put a lot of emphasis into cooking. So how you're going to be able to find recipes in certain locations, and like fires where you will be able to set a cooking utensil essentially and cook your food. They put a lot of effort into that. And this is where they go into a more of the similar activities that you can see in Black Desert. In Black Desert, cooking, alchemy, fishing, farming, hunting, they are called life skills. And apparently this is something that you will be able to do. All of these activities, I see pretty much all of the ones that you can do in Black Desert. So I'm assuming they will work similarly. So you can hunt for, this is pretty typical for an RPG. I keep comparing to Black Desert Online because it's the best example that we have of what they're probably going to be doing. Because I've seen so many similarities in systems that Crimson Desert has that Black Desert Online already have, which is no surprise. I've been through this. But as you know, this was meant to be another MMO. And then they shifted into a single player game. but a lot of those systems that they were gonna make like Black Desert are still in the game. And honestly, they're very good in Black Desert. Maybe not fishing. I'm sorry, I got PTSD with the fishing. And then they go like in a bit of character customization. So like, and this is where it's also, again, very similar to Red Dead Redemption 2. You cannot completely, it's not a fully customizable character. You are playing as Cliff and the other two characters, which I don't remember their names now. I don't know if they've been mentioned. You will be able to customize them to a certain extent. You can change their hair, probably their facial hair too, their tattoos, the color of their hair, and the color of your clothes and armor. You're going to be able to use dyes to change the color of the different pieces of armor and clothes that you're wearing. Again, that is also present in Black Desert. And before I said that, I didn't know how the mech exactly was going to work, but when I was going through this again now, I saw that you can also change the color of the mech. So I'm assuming the mech is going to be a more permanent thing that you're going to be able to do. Probably you unlock it either through the story or through a particular mission, and you will be able to use it in a more regular basis. You can also customize it, changes the color of it. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the end of the trailer. I am absolutely stoked for this game. It has been a while since I've been so excited for a video game. At this point, okay, let's do some real talk. At this point, if they can deliver most of what they've shown and what you can see, I think this is going to be an incredible game. The only point where I could be like a little bit concerned right now would be performance. This is again assuming that they can deliver in what they have shown. But performance is the only thing that could be a problem. However, there is a bit of good news for that. So apparently the game has already gone gold like quite a while ago. I don't know if you're aware, but usually, mostly in AAA studios, some games go gold like days before release. So the fact that they managed to go gold like almost 2 months before release means they have a lot of time to manage the performance of the game. So I am hopeful that that's not going to be a problem. Please, please don't let it be a problem. It's impossible to know right now because this is an in-house engine, okay? It's not running on Unreal Engine 5 or anything else. It's made in-house. It's an evolution of the engine that they used in Black Desert Online. In this case, comparing to Black Desert is a game that usually runs pretty well. The only problems you can find in Black Desert are related to the connection to the servers or online, where you can maybe get some desync. But again, it's a very old game. It's a difficult comparison in this case. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that they can deliver, and please, I hope they do. So anyway, guys, I think that's gonna be it. This was the final overview trailer, and most likely they're gonna release like a launch trailer, like maybe a day or two before it's actually out. I am stoked for it. I cannot wait. Like everything they show, I grow more and more excited. Yet, I would still say not to pre-order it. Not because I want to tell you what to do with your money, okay? But I can never shake that feeling that what if, you know, that little voice in the back of my head. What if it's not good? Honestly, I'm more hopeful than I usually am with this one, especially because it's not one of the usual suspects that's making this. So I'm kind of hopeful for it. Still, I wouldn't pre-order it until the embargo lifts and we can get the actual reviews of the game. Thank you guys for joining me, and if you made it to this point, like the video, subscribe to the channel. It really, really helps me a lot. Thanks again, and I hope I'll see you when the game comes out. Or before. You can watch another videos of the channel before. That would be cool too. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.